Welcome back to Torn Apart News, the only place on the internet where we tear the news apart bit by bit until Zack Snyder finally realizes that he needs screenwriters to make movies. You can't just make weird compilation videos with slow motion and video game special effects. It probably will never happen, right?
No! God, please, no! No!
Today we're talking about the death of the DCEU, but also the death of Kang, because Jonathan Majors has been found guilty of third-degree assault and harassment and fired by Disney Marvel. The Avengers 5 movie, aka Kang Dynasty, has officially changed title and it's called Avengers 5 now. What is going on? I mean, we knew of course what was going on when it comes to Jonathan Majors, but what is going on when it comes to the MCU? Who is gonna be the next big bad guy? There's a lot of people talking about it online when it comes to Doom, maybe Tony Stark coming back, maybe Silver Surfer, Galactus. There are so many options for a villain for Avengers 5. Interesting thing is that Avengers 6, aka Secret Invasion, has not changed title, so it means that everything that we're watching right now is going to lead to Secret Invasion, and now we just have to realize what that piece of the puzzle is gonna look like. But having said that, I want to talk also about the DCEU, because with the release of Aquaman The Lost Kingdom, the DCEU is officially dead as well. It's been going on for 10 years. It started with Zack Snyder's Man of Steel in 2013, and now we're heading into new things thanks to James Gunn and his new plan for all the different heroes and anti-heroes of the DC comics. It's gonna be quite interesting, but I thought that we might look back to all the films that have come out in the past few years, and it's kind of like at the end of an era, because Marvel is going through a lot of changes right now and the DCU is also going through a lot of changes. Is the superhero genre going to actually die, as a lot of journalists have been claiming year after year after year, or is it gonna be reborn through a different lens? We don't really know, but one thing is for sure, change is happening right now in Hollywood, and I hope that the final result is better, more original movies, more representation, and at the end of the day, fun for us. We've got a trailer and a poster for the movie of Rose Glass, which is called Love Lies Bleeding. It's starring Kristen Stewart and Katie O'Brien, and they're playing respectively a person who works in the gym and a bisexual bodybuilder. This looks really interesting. I'm getting kind of like Thelma and Louise slash Basic Instinct thriller vibes from the trailer itself. If you want to know what it is about, it's kind of cryptic at this point, and it's basically going to be a romance fueled by ego, desire, and the American dream. If you don't know who Rose Glass is, she directed the incredibly acclaimed movie Saint Maud, which came out a couple of years ago, and it was starring the same actress that ended up playing Galadriel in the Lord of the Rings series, just in case you don't remember who she is and where you saw her in. I'm super hyped for this. It looks beautiful, and for once we actually have a trailer that looks insane and it doesn't really spoil the entire story of the movie. That's why I was like, this movie, we don't really know exactly what it is about. It's cryptic, but that's the fun part of watching a trailer, not knowing exactly what it's gonna be about and not revealing all the plot twists or even the tone necessarily, because this seems very serious, but this also seems quite fun. A lot of sexual overtones, but without really relying on the male gaze. Honestly, this is gonna be one of the best films of next year, without a doubt. But it's produced by A24, so don't forget that it's gonna be quite artsy and quite weird, so if it's not your type of thing, maybe look out for the reviews first and then check it out. It's supposed to come out March 8th, by the way, of next year. Let's head into another piece of news and talk about Daniel Kaluuya's new movie, and it's gonna be his directorial debut. It's called The Kitchen. It's a Netflix production. It has nothing to do with food. It's actually a science fiction kind of social issue movie, and he's co-directing it with Kibwe Tavares, and it's basically set in a dystopian future London where all social housing has been eliminated, and the main character, called Izzy, and Benji, they fight to navigate the world as residents of the Kitchen, which is a community that refuses to abandon their home. It's supposed to come out on January 19. I like the concept, but if you look at the trailer, this looks very Netflix like. It looks kind of like a documentary. It doesn't really have a strong visual style, and also it looks kind of low stakes. I didn't really get the sense that this is supposed to be a science fiction movie. It just looks like a normal kind of action movie. The interesting part though is that since they're casting a lot of unknown actors in this movie, it is possible that they put the entire budget in special effects, practical effects, production design, that kind of stuff. So this gives me a bit more hope, because science fiction is 100% made just on those aspects, and sometimes not as much on the performances. I really hope it gets a good soundtrack as well, because it's quite rare nowadays that we get good soundtracks that go well with science fiction movies, and then it's not just a weird jukebox kind of thing. And honestly, I'm really rooting for this movie, mostly because Rebel Moon was such a disappointment and Dune looks so far away. I really need a good shot of science fiction injected in my veins, and if this gets near the Black Mirror kind of themes and look as well, it's definitely gonna be quite cool. You never know when it comes to directorial debut. It's either the best thing ever or a good first step of someone's career, but kind of forgettable. Now let's head into our bonus news, where I try to rapid fire as many news as possible so you can go back to your lives, because you're kind of sick of looking at my face, right?
Finally!
Let's start by talking about Rick and Morty, the anime, which was supposed to come out this year, but it's actually gonna come out early 2024. Maybe they didn't want it to clash with the release of the current season. They wanted to hype things up a little bit more, and I kind of get that, because honestly, personally, I watched 4 episodes of the current season of Rick and Morty, and then I think there was like a big break in between the release dates, and I completely forgot to end the season, and no one is talking about it anymore. I didn't see anyone mentioning on Twitter, so I feel like the Rick and Morty kind of trend is kind of over when it comes to this last few seasons. So I'm really looking forward to this anime, and we've got a new clip which seems quite fun, but it doesn't really reveal that much. Then we've got a new movie which is coming out on Netflix as well, which is called The Spaceman. It's coming out on March 1st. It's starring quite some cool people like Adam Sandler, Paul Dano, Carey Mulligan, and it's gonna be directed by Joan Rank, who you might know because he worked on the incredibly good HBO series Chernobyl. I really like when Adam Sandler goes into serious roles. I really liked him in Uncut Gems, for example, so I have high hopes for this film, mostly because it's about creatures, aka monsters. Do you want to know more? Let's find out. Basically, it's about an astronaut who is sent to the edge of the galaxy to collect mysterious ancient dust, who finds his earthly life falling to pieces. He turns to the only voice who can help him through it to put it back together. It just so happens to belong to a creature from the beginning of time, lurking in the shadows of his ship. And then let's talk about the Insomniac Hacks just a little bit. I know it's gaming news, not as much as movie news, but it's related to the Wolverine and those kind of like superhero themed games. They attract quite a lot of attention from moviegoers as well, and well, basically they were held for ransom by hackers who stole quite a lot of content specifically attached to the pre-production of the Wolverine, and Insomniac kind of like sent out this message thanking the fans for their support, for not sharing, not talking that much about it, the leaked content. And honestly, I don't want to share any of it because it's so incredibly stupid and it probably ruined so many people's lives. Hacks sometimes can kill games without a doubt, so make sure that you stay away from the leaked content and that you support Insomniac because they probably need it right now. Then we finally have a teaser trailer for The Strangers Chapter 1, the movie that is coming out on May 17. It's going to be directed by Rennie Harlin, who is a director from classic movies like Cliffhanger and Die Hard 2. Basically, he's going to be releasing 3 movies back to back to back, kind of like what they did with Fear Street on Netflix, and they're remaking, of course, the original The Strangers, and they're kind of like expanding the story, the themes, maybe adding some character development when it comes to the villains or even the main characters. We don't really know. And we also have some breaking news concerning the Scream franchise. Apparently Christopher Landon has exited the direction of the new Scream movie. So this movie now doesn't have any main actresses, doesn't have a director, and it's 100% dead. I'm pretty sure we're never gonna see it, or maybe they'll wait like 5 to 10 years, hoping that everyone has forgotten about it and redo the whole thing. Who knows at this point? As a Scream fan, honestly, I'm disappointed by the whole thing, but I'm quite glad that the boycott created by the actresses worked at the end of the day. And we have a final piece of news concerning Warner Bros. And Paramount, which apparently are rumored to be considering a merger. I'm not really that interested in mergers, but at the end of the day, they're quite important nowadays, mostly because of the IPs that get transferred from one company to the other. When it comes to the actual economy part, we don't really give a shit about it as movie fans, and when it comes to the movie news. But honestly, when you look at the Paramount list of things that they have, it's things that they've been kind of like milked out of existence to the point that we don't really care about those anymore. I really don't understand why Warner Bros. Would be interesting in merging with Paramount. If you want to have an idea of what I'm talking about, we have things like Star Trek, Terminator, Mission Impossible, Transformers, or even Paranormal Activity. They own the rights of all of those franchises. Do you care about any of those anymore? Even the Mission Impossible movie this year was kind of underwhelming. And now let's end this video with my favorite segment, which is gonna be called And for Something Weird. We're gonna be talking about something weird that is part of the movie news, and it's about Ryan Gosling making a video with the song I Am Can and turning it into a Christmas classic. Let's have a look. That is quite catchy, and it's honestly quite cool. Anyways, those are all the news that I had for you for this week. Don't forget to tune in next week once again to talk about the movie and TV news of the week. I'm Patrick, and this is Torn Apart News.
Back in the 90s, I was in a very famous TV show.
Been fighting for me.
Da 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 da. Da 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 da.